Hey y'all, I don't know about you, but trying to adjust to this new normal has pushed me to discover new interests and make the most of my surroundings. So I thought I'd do a video on what I've been doing over the last 3 months to keep busy. First, I reacquainted myself with reading for fun. I learned that painting with watercolor is a lot harder than I originally thought, and self-studying a language requires a lot of trial and error. We'll dive deeper in the later half of the video, but first, let's go to the park. Now, I am by no means a naturey, outdoorsy type of person at all, but to give myself a change of scenery, I've been going to the park while I read. On social media, I've seen a lot of people applying pressure about being hyperproductive during the pandemic to make good use of our time, but I think that there should be an emphasis on maintaining a balance. Prioritize self-care and slowing down for once. Now is the time to put yourself first. For me, sitting outside and reading has been a good way to get away from the distractions and be present in the moment. Now, I didn't plan this well, so I ended up finishing my book, but next time I'll bring my speaker and a journal for some reflection outside in the peaceful environment. So let's pack it up. Hey y'all. Okay, so earlier in the video you saw me at the park reading, and I finished my book within like 5 minutes of being at the park, so I decided to come home and do a little book review for you all. We're gonna start out with I Am Not Your Negro, which is a film by Raoul Peck based off of the writings from James Baldwin, who is a Black essayist, poetess, playwright, activist whose work touches on race, sexual, and class distinctions within Western societies. Now, the backstory behind this book is that, first of all, it's a documentary that you can watch on Netflix. It's based off of back when James Baldwin was in his final years. He started to write a book about his 3 friends who were assassinated. Those friends being Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X. He passed away before he could finish the book and it be published. Skipping ahead a few years, Raoul Peck, who's a Haitian filmmaker, wanted to make a documentary about Baldwin, and he gained access to all of the letters and notes and excerpts from what he was planning on writing for the book. And that's how the movie I Am Not Your Negro came to be. This book is more of the behind the scenes action on how the movie came to be, and also it includes a lot of Baldwin's notes for the book that he was writing at the time. It was a really quick and easy read, and even the excerpts are not big, like it's not hard to read. So that's why I finished it fairly fast, because it doesn't take much to finish this book. So this is a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. It says, "Not only do we have a right to be free, we have a duty to be free." So when you sit down on a bus, when you sit down in the front, or you sit down by a white person, you're sitting down because you have a duty to sit down, not merely because you have a right. So this is the type of information you're going to be getting from this book. That excerpt alone made an impression on me and how I show up in the world as a Black woman. I even highlighted stuff I think it's really important to highlight and annotate what you read. I got that from one of my favorite teachers in undergrad. It's really important to annotate, because even if I were to pick up this book 6 months from now and I don't read the whole thing through, I can go back and read the parts that I highlighted and what I wrote in the book, and that'll refresh my memory on it. I really recommend this book. It's really easy to read. It's more of behind the scenes. I haven't watched the movie yet. I wanted to read this and finish this before I started the movie, just to see how more in depth it goes than just reading the book. But I do recommend the book. I think it's good to have a physical copy of some sort to look back on. Now, this next book I'm gonna review is Atomic Habits. It's by James Clear. This book is a New York Times bestseller, USA Today bestseller, Wall Street Journal bestseller, Amazon Charts bestseller, Audible bestseller. It sold a lot of copies. Now, it's in the self-help genre, but I think that typically self-help books rely a lot on mentality, but the advantage of Atomic Habits is that it gives you very practical and tangible ways to make significant change in your life over time. This is another book where I highlighted a lot throughout the book. I think every chapter there was something that was important to me or a takeaway. So I was taking notes about this book. The benefits of it is that since you have tangible steps to help make change over time, it makes creating new healthy habits seem less daunting, and it changed my life for the better. I can say that fully. If I show how this book changed the way I act day to day, that'll be helpful. So maybe my next video will be like, how do I stay productive in applying what I learned from this book. I definitely recommend this book. If you're into self-help, productivity, this is definitely a book that you can benefit from. So these are the two books that I've been reading and finished both of them. So now it's gonna be on to the next two. Maybe I'll do another book review after that. Before I left the park, I grabbed some leaves to try to paint using watercolor when I got back home. Now, let me just preface this and say I'm not talented when it comes to painting and drawing, but my dad is. So during this quarantine, I started painting, hoping that the artist gene would just activate itself in me at some point. The one next to me, I did about 6 months ago using acrylic paint on glass and then just framing it. Let me know what y'all think about that painting in the comments. It was right in this moment I knew I messed up, y'all. But I'll let you see the final product in just a moment. Alright, so I'm done now, and I'm gonna be real, it's ugly. It's real ugly. Like I said, I'm not a painter. I'm more of a writer myself. But this this leaf is gonna be on your right side, and then this leaf is gonna be on your left side. Here we go. All right, how we feeling? How we feel about this? Hold it up. So this one. Huh? Are you seeing the vision? I'm kind of seeing the vision. I think it looks better on camera than it does in real life. And that's saying something. All right, and then let's go. This one. And the thing that's killing me is it's kind of dry. Like, for it to be watercolor, it looked kind of dry. I'm not a painter, okay? But watch, at the end of this quarantine, I'm gonna be painting whole trees and stuff. So you just wait. More on the productive side, I've been self-studying Korean. I learned in undergrad for about 1.5 years, but since I'm no longer taking classes, I'm making it a point to maintain and sharpen my skills. Now, the road to fluency is not easy at all, but since I have the background of taking lessons, that's helped point me in the right direction. A new resource I've been using since the beginning of the quarantine is Rosetta Stone. Currently, I'm in the early lessons, so the material hasn't been challenging yet, and it's all been fairly familiar to me, which you'll see in the upcoming clips. 여자하고 여자의 딸. 가족. 여자아이들하고 여자아이들의 부모님. I'll be posting a Rosetta Stone review within the next week, so if you're interested in learning a new language, stay tuned for that. Referring back to balancing productivity and play, I have to mention Animal Crossing. I feel really fortunate that I had the means to purchase this game because as someone who deals with anxiety on a regular basis, the reality of the pandemic weighed really heavy on me. Animal Crossing truly provided an escape from the overwhelming feeling of impending doom I felt about 3 months ago. This might not be relatable for most, but for some, video games can do just that. Alright y'all, now it's your time to respond back. What have you been doing to keep busy? What skills have you been developing during this time? And what ways are you practicing self-care? Let me know in the comments. Before I get too engrossed in my game, let me say thank you for spending the day with me. Hopefully I gave you some new ideas of hobbies to try or books to read. Stick around for more videos like this. Please like the video and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Bye y'all.